With me today are two medical doctors who are passionate about the science of antioxidants, and they're very familiar with this new phenomenon called Reboot. To my left, I have Dr. Oestreicher. He is a graduate of Johns Hopkins University, as well as Albert Einstein College of Medicine. And to my right from the UK, Dr. De Medici. He's the Associate Director of Sports Medicine Research at University College London. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. Hello. Welcome.
All right, well, we've heard a lot about free radicals over the years. Well, let's break it down for everyone. Can you explain what free radicals actually are?
Free radicals can almost be considered quite sort of angry molecules, and they sort of go around and they make other molecules quite unstable. Actually, the body normally use free radicals sometimes in a positive way. So, for example, in white blood cells, they use the free radicals, the energy that they've got, to destroy bacteria. But actually, an imbalance or an excess of free radicals has been shown to be linked to many, many diseases, for example, cancer, heart disease, and other such things.
So then what exactly are antioxidants?
Antioxidants are those substances that can stabilize these free radicals, and there are natural protective agents against these free radicals.
Do we need to be serious about this?
Yeah, well, Kristen, it may seem like it's an esoteric subject, but if you look at some of the leading causes of death we have in our society, cancer and cardiovascular disease, both of them are affected by free radicals and reactive oxygen species. We know that there's a significant effect in them. In fact, even Alzheimer's disease is affected by the circulation we have in our brain. We've already proven that an imbalance in the antioxidant pro-oxidative pathways is responsible for damage in these systems. We know that several cancers are related to an imbalance in antioxidants and oxidative stress. We know that hypertension and atherosclerosis can be related to an imbalance between antioxidants and oxidative stress in the endothelial. And since these are the most common diseases, and the things that are diabetes is another one. Diabetes produces a substance that interferes with the nitrous oxide, which is the ability of your vessels to have relaxation, which is important for blood flow. That's even significant in ED and other problems that affect people continuously. So everywhere we look, they said many years ago, I'll give you credit, I believe it was an English physician, you're only as old as your arteries, okay? And circulation is your basic infrastructure. Things that affect circulation everywhere in the body are extremely important to your overall health. And whereas circulation in our heart is, of course, essential, our brain has more vessels than any other part of the body. It's very difficult to measure that, but we know subjectively we want as much circulation going on as possible. And as I mentioned, several neurological diseases that affect the brain, Parkinson's disease, ALS, and Alzheimer's disease, all can be influenced by oxidative stress.
So it's something we definitely should take seriously.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not potentially saying that you're going to live forever if you take antioxidants, but you can live healthier. Because, as we've said, so many disease processes and the aging process is just affected by these by free radicals, and that's why it's important to really seriously consider these as part of your diet.
And I have to say, Kristen, that we all need to take a certain personal responsibility in aiding our own health. Even though I'm a big fan of doctors, we can't count on doctors to do everything to save our lives. Everybody needs some personal responsibility. And, part of that is trying to do everything we can to have a healthy lifestyle, because it's a lot easier to prevent the problem than it is to take it away. By the time you have to take away a problem, something's already broken. And, in fact, that's what we may call aging, is a lot of things breaking, right? And even though it's not, we're not going to live forever.
Right.
And death is inevitable, like taxes. We don't want it to happen anytime soon. I often ask my patients, what is our #1 job in life? And I hear everything from being a good parent to being a good worker. But actually, our #1 job in life is to survive. And most people do no work at all to survive. Our ancestors had to struggle to survive. It's not a lot for us to take some interest in our nutrition and our lifestyle to help improve our survival and our quality of life.
Well, first of all, I think the first thing to look at is, what is aging? What's happening? We all know that our skin is constantly sort of updating itself. That's why we sort of shed little bits of dead skin. So all the cells in our body are constantly replicating, constantly changing. And what happens is every time they replicate, there's a chance that something can go wrong. A mistake happens, and this mistake then gets built upon, and that's where you get a problem. And the interesting stuff with antioxidants is that when you look at the effect on a cellular level, is that they protect the cell from damage. So you can imagine if you're protecting the cell from damage as you're aging, it just means aging is a little bit healthier. And one of the other interesting things that they looked at was animal models. And one of the classic animal models that we use is the fruit fly, because it has a nice short lifespan, and we can watch to see how, if we do an effect, how will that affect its lifespan. And looking at the effect of using antioxidants in a fruit fly, we found that we could extend their lifespan up to 30%. Now, I'm not saying that if we have antioxidants we're going to live 30% longer, but it's interesting to see how it can affect the aging process.
And Kristen, even in human populations, when we've looked at societies that have a high level of antioxidants nutritionally and have less oxidative stress to damage them, they have an improvement in the development of chronic diseases. Conversely, when we look at those populations that have an imbalance and have more oxidative stress than antioxidants, there's more cell damage and a greater development of chronic diseases such as heart disease and diabetes, high blood pressure. All of those can be looked at, in part at least, as an imbalance between oxidative stress and antioxidants' ability to repair that oxidative stress.
You have to tell me, because I already take antioxidants, my friends do, I mean, they're in a lot of multivitamins. What makes Reboot different than all the others out in the market?
I think that's probably one of the most important questions that you're going to ask today. And I think that's one of the most critical things that Reboot has done to make a product that we believe and we know actually works. And how they've done that is that, unlike most of the other things that are on the market, for example in multivitamins and other antioxidants, they tend to be extracts. They tend to be things that are actually almost already oxidized. So you might have the actual molecule in there, but that molecule's not going to do you any good. In fact, it'll probably just almost go straight through you. Because the way that they're often processed and made is that they come as an individual chemical. They may even be oxidized already. So all the real benefits, as we discussed in the science for the antioxidant, it's not going to absorb those free radicals. It's not going to help sort of the anti-aging, and that's what Reboot has done, which is different. They've taken the antioxidants from the plants, the actual extracts, and got them in a state ready for you to take straight off the tree, so to speak.
We can definitely see where Reboot makes a difference.
Yeah, the problem is if you're taking an antioxidant supplement, you don't really know what's getting into the place that you actually need it, which is the cell membrane. So it may in fact be on the label, but because it's weaker, it may be denatured. In fact, it's probably been exposed to air. It might be exposed to dampness. It's going to pass right through you. When they've looked at pill forms, there's 40 times more absorption in Reboot due to the way its delivery system is.
Well,
Yeah.
you make a good point,
Yeah.
because the design of the package the pouch is really unique with Reboot. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, so as you were saying, you know, if you take even a piece of apple, cut it up and leave it in the air, you'll notice that it turns brown very quickly. So the reason why the pouch, the Reboot pouch, has been designed is that you've got a powdered side and a purified water, and these are kept separate up till the point you're going to take it. And when you're ready to take it, you squeeze the pouch together, and that mixes the materials and making it ready for consumption. So you've got something absolutely fresh. It's like picking a fruit straight from the tree.
And even prior to being exposed to water, the powdered side is kept in an airtight environment, so it's not exposed to oxygen either.
And that's really important to maximize
Not
the
to have
benefits
it
of this.
oxidized.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the clinical studies with Reboot?
Well, one of the things that I liked the most about the studies is they actually did studies looking at the endpoints, meaning instead of just looking at details or chemical reactions, they took in vivo, which we'll talk about a little later, they actually gave it to patients and they looked at how how the antioxidant production in their body, and they actually found out that in human subjects, giving it to them increased that level of that enzyme. But even more importantly, they looked at something very subjective. They looked at variables of well-being, depression, vitality. There was significant increase in well-being in people who'd taken it for a long time, and that's what I call a good endpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing that they did was they found that the availability of the antioxidants in the Reboot solution was up to 45 times better than a pill and up to 10 times better than a gel. And they also then did some studies looking at the effects on cellular level. So they took cells, human cells, grew them in the lab, and then looked at the protective effects of a Reboot solution on those cells when exposed to free radicals.
Well, this is really important with the clinical studies. We talked about in vivo versus in vitro. What's the difference?
Well, in vivo is when you actually test it to see what is happening in a human being, and in vitro is what happens in a petri dish. They took a naturally occurring antioxidant in the body, and they measured it in people that had taken Reboot. And they found that there were significantly increased levels of this antioxidant in the group that took Reboot.
And what are some of the results you've seen that people have taken Reboot, but a variety of different ages?
Middle-aged, younger people can have stressors at work, can overexercise, have lack of sleep, and they can have depletion of their own antioxidants due to those reasons. The elderly have depletion of antioxidants for other reasons. Young people can have depletion of antioxidants from malnutrition and poor food choices. So each age group has their own risk factors for why there might be imbalance in their antioxidant pro-oxidant system.
Well, just to recap a little bit on some of the studies that we did, we showed that the effects happen over time. So after 7 days, you get a sort of 27% reduction. After 30 days, you get something close to a 50% reduction in oxidative stress. And it's the accumulation of this over time which gives you the real benefits. I mean, you can imagine, as we were talking earlier about smoking, if you have one cigarette, it's not going to do you damage. But over the years, you can see how that damage builds up. It's the same with these antioxidants. It's taking it over time, and the longer that you take it, the better it is for you.
And it has to be part of an overall health plan. I like to tell my patients it's like a boxing match. It's not one punch that knocks you out. It's the combination of things that add up to the fatal blow. And we have to block as many of these punches as we can to maintain our health.
And Reboot's a great way to aid all of that.
Exactly. It comes in a nice, easy, presented and easy to use package that can become part of your sort of daily routine. And that's really what we're trying to encourage.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for all of the information. You really gave us a lot of the science of antioxidants, but really how Reboot can help you.
Thank you.
Oxidative stress, an incredibly complex process that, put in simple terms, occurs when your cells become damaged by free radical accumulation. Then these damaged cells will split and replicate over and over, spreading throughout your body, a process that could not only cause accelerated aging, but also cause a major role in the onset and progression of many human ailments. So whether you're young or old, male or female, active or inactive, science agrees that finding practical ways to help reduce free radical cell damage is an extraordinarily important goal. Science has already managed to significantly increase the lifespan in laboratory species, but since this was achieved chiefly through genetic alterations, essentially unavailable to humans and certainly to the public, we've been left with just a taste of what might one day be available in real human application. Benefits that go way beyond the prospect of being able to live longer, but also endless benefits in overall health, stamina, and even physical appearance. But as consumers, we're relentlessly faced with an overabundance of products making sensational health claims, and antioxidants are no exception. So how do we know what the basis for these claims are? How can we strip away the hype to reveal the facts? Well, when was the last time you saw a product that backed their claims with in vivo clinical studies conducted by independent and respectable universities? In vivo studies are studies with living human beings, not clinical, which are in vitro, that is, cells usually from animals studied in a glass dish. Well, Reboot is such a product, And the results from one of these real human studies show that Reboot cut free radical cell damage almost in half after just 1 month of intake. We thank the doctors for being here today to share their expertise and their passion about the importance of antioxidants in general and Reboot in particular. I'm Kristen Burt. Thank you for watching.